change, and it is costing us more and more money, and less people are benefiting from it. And so I do feel like we owe it to the community to look into it and to see how we can help it be a benefit to the majority of the people versus the minority of the people. But I'm going to take, I would like to, since I started the question, just take it back, because I really don't think anybody is very clear on it. When you say they follow a job description, that's, everybody says they do. But, so the core of the issue is the money, and it is not bringing us in money, period, even according to December's account. But I do think you brought up an extremely solid way to pay for this stuff. And if the community center falls under anything that EDC, economic development.
It absolutely does.
Okay, so then why do we keep scrimping for every dime and cutting here and cutting this and holding our breath to hope this happens when the money is in EDC? Why are we not automatically discussing taking it out of EDC tonight? Does that have to go before?
Well, that would have to go before EDC first.
My recollection is the event center has been an ongoing project of the EDC, correct? And we'd have to look at what, you have to have a public hearing prior to each project, but it could be that this is already an ongoing project, and paying employees would be part of the maintenance and operations of an EDC project, which is a permitted expenditure for EDC, but they would have to just amend their budget to include that.
So they'd have to so would it be done as a project, or could they identify that because of what the event center does, that could they just adjust their budget to have another transfer, like we started doing this year with?
I would want to look at it and see how it was established as a project originally.
Okay.
And I think Marvin does a really good job every year of
identifying the
project. And so we just, if it's already identified as a project and this will be part of the maintenance and operations, so be it, that's fine. If it's not, it's very easy to hold a public hearing, declare it a project.
I will tell you that there are some voices in EDC that are hesitant to spend dollars that they think that does not have a direct result in bringing in sales tax. Can you repeat that? So I'm just telling you, we've gotten it through, like the bus. The buses.
Steve said, sorry, Darren didn't hear that. Steve said that there are some voices on EDC that are hesitant to spend money on stuff that may not bring direct sales tax in.
Right. The bus is a classic example of that, where it's a benefit, it benefits citizens to do it, and we had to sort of negotiate, and it's still been funded, but I don't want it to sound like it's a slam dunk.
I think that the event center, that's a good example of there's some things there that should could easily be paid for with EDC, and some things already are, like the car show and that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of stuff that don't. In fact, I would go further to say, like you want to talk about the clothes out front being taken in and out. I think that hurts EDC.
Well, but again, if we're going to sit there and look at, it's kind of like what we talked about back during budget. We're not necessarily going to expect Public Works to verify when they're doing banners and bill EDC for that. We've got a general transfer and whatnot, so I think that's a good idea to look at taking it to the next EDC.
You can always have an agreement between the city and the EDC to fund certain administrative aspects of running projects and M&O of a project.
This year was the first year we've done that.
Yeah, and my recollection is decades, but I think EDC funds were actually used to purchase that, which is why it's been named.
Heavily involved in your.
Yeah, and so it was a project, and the Act does permit maintenance and operations, payment of salary. Is that.
But one thing, since we've talked about this so much already, that I would like to see come out of this is a publicly available calendar that shows the rentals. To my knowledge, that does not exist. It's only down there. And That's just too closed. The other thing, just so we're all on the same page, you know, and I'm an auditor by training and education.
You are.
So the form says that these payments that we see of $500 have to be paid in cash.
Yeah.
The checks are not allowed.
Right.
So now we've got something where there's mandatory cash being given and no independent correlation that I can see cars down there and call and say, so what's being rented from someone at City Hall, and we don't know.
Yeah.
So that's just not a good
That's
control
what I'm
for
saying.
anyone in
That's why nobody wants to rent there, because of stuff like that. Why can't I go and get a check if I'm gonna rent it for something, and then I wouldn't have to wait for a check from them to reimburse me? I mean, I just gave you cash, why can't you give my cash back? You know, so...
Again, and I don't remember, Steve, you might remember, there was a reason we did that, whether
Well, they took
it was stiffing us on checks or...
Yeah, but the rule is that they have to be given like 7 days ahead of time or something.
It should clear.
So that it should clear and not be an example. Or
They didn't have-
or somebody used a credit card or something.
No, credit
Or there's all sorts of things.
When it came up,
The problem that we run into, and I'll just be frank, you know, I don't want to...
Well, we'll be
I get the money from the community center.
Okay.
The problem that I have, it's not turned into me on a timely manner. Like, if somebody wrote a check for a deposit, it may be 2-3 weeks later before I even get the check, and by that time, the rental's already done.
and that should not be happening.
Exactly.
And how do you know,
It's an example, I've got an example of that, okay? So I rented the community center, as I do every year, for my event. And they are...
That was in December, right?
November, the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And they are kind to me since they know who I am, and they will take the check. So I don't have to go get hundreds of dollars in cash and walk down there, okay? So they're breaking a rule and, you know, but I'm like, well, we shouldn't have that rule to begin with. But my check cleared the bank after I got the refund of my deposit. So quite literally, the city wrote me a refund of my deposit of $200. I got it and cashed it before my check to pay the rental for reserve was ever cashed. So see, that just illustrates her example.
So that needs, that, aside from anything else that's going on, Marvin and Paul will y'all
That
make
was
sure
300 for me.
that
Or maybe it's
gets taken care of.
200, I don't know the exact number. It's what it was supposed to be. It
I
wasn't
was like,
just-
oh, wait, we're trying to get, we're talking about this budget, but I'm letting it go, because we're talking about personnel, but I'm thinking we're kind of getting beyond that, but
What's
that's
the
a
calendar of
workshop.
City Hall?
So one thing, Leanne did mention potentially going forward with this, but trying to ask EDC. So, when's the next EDC meeting, Mark?
It's, the first Monday, second Monday in, February.
13.
So that's the 13th. So are you good with sort of, or is council good with proceeding as though, I mean, obviously that is not a slam dunk, but I don't know why we would take him back to part-time right now if he's doing 40 hours. So is council good with proceeding as is until EDC has been, this has been requested of EDC to help cover?
I have a hard problem justifying a 40-hour week for 3 days. Unless Gordon can...
Well, no, it's not 40 for 3 days. It's 40 for 5 days.
I know,
Yeah,
but
but 2 of those are,
we budgeted him part-time for 3 days.
Right.
That's already in the budget. And if he's working 8 to 5, I'm assuming that those 3 days, without Shirley's being here to justify why they need him another 2 days, full days, I just can't support that. I just don't...
I do think we're in a position now, though, we have to be fair to him. I mean, and if it's a matter of 3 weeks, I mean, why not throw in a few more
We've got an
times?
opening in Public Works now, so the money is budgeted, but that limits, if he's gonna hire someone now, that would leave a part-time position open instead of a full-time position. But I just have a hard time justifying 40 hours a week